So, we well-behaved women welcome you back to another session, or whatever this is, a session. um, and we're going to be talking about a couple of different things today that are pertinent in the news. And one of those things I'm going to actually let Olivia take the reins on, and that is our dear friend Ellen DeGeneres. What's going on?
Well, um, I have opinions. Um, I have little observations that I never really dove into before.
Mm-hmm.
Partially because she just has done a great job of just building this image, and she probably was this person when she first started the show. But I mean, she has been known as the crown jewel of Warner Brothers with her talk show for a very long time now. It's her 17th season.
Yeah, it's been a long, long run.
Yeah. And there have been some reports coming out that very much contradict the image, the brand that she has created for herself around the show, right? That it's not like the happiest place on earth. It's not a fairy tale land of just wholesome humor and life changing giveaways. It's uh, a very toxic environment. Her personality is not this the same woman that does the dancing and the fun monologues. She's very rude, according to these reports, and um, I don't know, hostile, and just different things, right? Maybe a lot of people, maybe there are people that haven't heard it. There are definitely way more important things. But I guess I wanted to talk about it too because you had posted an opinion about, if I can mention that.
Yeah, absolutely.
An opinion about it on Facebook. And you got some reaction. I don't know if this person was the only person that reacted, or you got other reactions that were similar to his, but this person was just
kind of out of control.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's difficult to know. I mean, this person is family, and it's difficult to know if there was an axe to grind behind that.
Sure.
So,
but regardless, right? That was a post that really struck a nerve. And which, because you post a lot of opinions on Facebook, you're a very opinionated woman, as most well-behaved women are.
Yeah, for better or worse. Yeah.
Yes. And so I think, for me, when I see a lot of really opinionated people and they post opinions that I don't agree with, I just kind of just keep going. It's like they're doing them. They're people that are probably holding on very tightly to their opinions.
If I might, I mean, this was not an out of left field opinion. This wasn't even saying that. This wasn't even saying that Ellen is or is not, being monstrous. This is my opinion about American society as a whole. How we love to build up our heroes only to tear them down again. And
which I think is very valid.
I think so. I think so. And I haven't seen anything, I've heard the reports, same as you. Many of the reports have been about her staff, like there's allegations of sexual misconduct against her staff that have been unanswered by Ellen, or she made some kind of statement or something, but I didn't see it and I didn't hear it. Regarding that particular instance, or that particular employee, or what's going on there. That wasn't Ellen. And you could, you could hold her responsible because it's her name, it is her brand on the entire organization as a whole.
So there's accountability.
Certainly, certainly. Um, and but by the at the same time, I don't know that you can actually say that she's the she's not the one that's doing whatever it is. And I have to assume that there are people that are of management that are below Ellen that should be the ones that are taking care of those things. I don't think that's an Ellen thing to take care of. Ellen's job is to go out on TV, and do the thing that she does.
So I've seen reports where, word for word, the quote is, "This is not Ellen. This is the environment at the show."
Mm-hmm.
But recently, I kind of read some reports that directly discuss Ellen and her behaviors, and um, and I think Ellen has responded, but she's responded to people being unhappy on the show, not really addressing anything that is said directly against her.
Mm-hmm.
So there have been people that have noticed that, and they're like, okay, well, way to deflect if you're completely, just ignoring what people have said and observed about you, like celebrity friends that have been on the show that have. So it's there's a couple different things that are hard. I don't know, that I just kind of need to kind of work out in my own head, because this is I mean, what a story she has.
Yeah.
She had a career, and then she completely had it, the rug pulled out from under her feet.
Yes.
When she's trying to do something so brave and courageous on behalf of, a large community that was still very much in hiding.
Yes.
And she really paid the consequences. And they took a chance on her with this talk show, and look what she's done with it. Look how many lives that she's changed. And she represents two minority groups here, one of which we both identify with.
Sure.
So it's like, it's hard for me to be eager to, or readily say that, just down with Ellen, right? Just because it's like, she's a woman in power,
uh-huh.
and she really fought a long, hard battle to get here, and I don't know.
I mean, to me, it's like, it's the whole thing that we, as women, we are supposed to maintain a certain persona. And the second we step out of that persona, we're vilified. And I think, when a woman is the boss, it's very easy for people who are not in their shoes to just criticize the manner in which they do things. Now, I'm not saying that she is easy to work for. I'm not saying that. But I mean, if she were a man, would people complain as much?
And I think that's always a valid question to ask. Okay, but now there's the other piece to this that, makes me not very surprised,
Okay.
by the rumors. Just some things that I've noticed. And I mean, some of those things, I don't know if can we blame her as much as we can blame, like, capitalism and stuff like that, right? And like, I feel like after a certain point, when she would invite people on her show, certain, like, celebrities, there was, I kind of picked up on just kind of like a way that she would talk with them, and in a way that she was very intentional, or maybe just very, like, subtly so, in just, establishing that, like, she's got a lot of privilege now, and this is her crowd, this is who she runs with, like, she is
right,
A-list, she invites A-list people, and like it's always communicated to the audience that they are friends,
Sure.
which feels a little, I don't know, feels a little like, you really feel that class distinction, right? Like that disparity. And I don't think I always felt that earlier on.
Okay. When she was working for it more.
Yeah. Now it's a little smug, uh, more than that's the tones that I usually get. And then, she goes into even like personal, like interactions or, events that they've done together or like gone to together, or that one time that they were at each other's houses and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very gushy, kind of very inside club, and a lot of the audience eats it up, but for me it kind of gets like a little old.
Yeah.
um, Now, one of those conversations, now I think this is where it really started to kind of surface, a lot of these people coming out kind of talking about kind of how shady she can be, was when she attempted to have like a maybe like a good humored conversation about Dakota Johnson about a birthday party
Mm.
that we had recently being 2019 in October. um I don't know if you ever saw or heard about this interview.
Mm.
I watched it when it happened, and it was awkward, but I wasn't sure if it was like, are they just like teasing each other because they're friends, because Ellen teases and that's just who Ellen is.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was. And like, because I've seen this actress kind of like put her foot down and not take any shit from people before. And this kind of felt like one of those moments. Um, and so Dakota Johnson had her 30th birthday back in October, and Ellen didn't go. But Ellen wanted to, be like, you didn't invite me. That's fine, and like the audience at first kind of giggled about it, but then like Dakota was like, actually, Ellen, that's not true. I did invite you. You didn't come. And it felt like there was just something more there. And like Ellen, like you just kind of see that, like, what? Oh, I didn't go. Like, why didn't I go? And she's asking her people, and they're like, yeah, no, you were invited. You didn't go. You were, as she was, and then she tried to play it off and everything. Oh, I must have been out of town, or parties in Malibu. It's too far to drive to Malibu. Blah, blah, blah. That was actually the weekend that she had her party, and she didn't go to it. It was the weekend that she was in Texas, and she was sitting in the same box as J.W. Bush. J.W. Bush.
George W. Bush.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember getting into trouble for that.
Yeah, yeah. And so I feel like that was like the catalyst for everyone being like, let's look at
Right, right.
um and yeah, and so I don't know. I kind of felt it. I felt it, and it didn't feel like the same Ellen. There was no humility there. It was just like, this is owed to me, and I just
Wow.
it's she's yeah. But are these kinds of behaviors and changes in personality kind of inevitable once you know?
I would like to think not. And it's funny because you and I were both fans of the TV show Glee when it first came out. And you dropped it before I did. I followed it through because I'm OCD that way. I know it got bad. But I was so shocked to learn that almost everybody universally hated Leah Michelle. I mean,
Really?
universally hate her because she is such a bee in everything that she does.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That was no surprise to me. I feel like I could like that. There's no way like she's that good. Like there's definitely Leah in that character.
yeah, yes,
Insufferable.
yes, and she is absolutely insufferable in real life.
Yeah.
Just mean and rude and just horrible. And And I wonder if anybody even actually hires her anymore because she just is so terrible. But I mean, I don't understand. I mean, she was young. She had to work hard to get to where she was. Where does that humility that it takes to get into that business go? Where does that go?
I mean, I've seen some videos of Leah Michelle when she was like itty bitty, like 12 or 10, and she was already just like very, like, like looking in the camera, looking at her angles, not really paying attention to other things.
Yeah, yeah. There's a something. Somebody was on a talk show host. Some girl was, and she was behind her on the red carpet, and she was talking about how Leah Michelle took so long on the red carpet to get her pose just right, and how she had to like suck in her thing to show her collarbones and just have her pose just right for all the paparazzi and everything. And it took so long, and she's like, I have never seen anything like that where somebody had to contort themselves to that extent just to be photographed. And I'm like, that that's like a lifetime of I don't know, self-importance that goes along there. But
Or a lifetime of, just being shaped by society,
yeah,
making you feel like you have to meet a certain criteria or standard. Like that, I mean, it's shitty to be around, but I feel like I don't know that we can entirely. I don't think she was born with it. I think that, like, if you're
yeah,
in an industry that's so superficial from when you're little, you're gonna place emphasis on all the wrong things.
yeah. And I would have thought, I mean, theater seems to be like a little bit of a different venue. That I would have thought that because she started in theater, that she would have carried that work ethic with her rather than the Hollywood one.
Yeah,
But with Ellen, I mean, she had, like you said, I mean, she started off. I mean, she's been through it. She had been homeless. She had been, worked her way to her TV show that she had through stand up comedy, which is a slog. I'm a big fan of stand up comedy, and I know the stories that some of these people have to go through to get known, to get famous, and some of them never get to that level. Many of them, many, many, many of them never get to that level. And she did. And then, like you said, to have it all ripped away from her, and she had to start over. And I want to say that, playing Dory was kind of like the beginning of the forgiveness on both sides. Where America kind of forgave her for being gay, and she kind of forgave America for being shitheads, and we went forward with her on this show. And I don't know if you've seen her stand up. She does address the fact that people feel like she has lost touch with who she is. And she kind of makes fun of it.
and she talks about the pressures of living, just being this nice person.
Yeah,
Like,
yes,
Ellen is nice. I can't do this because I'm Ellen. I can't.
right.
And I think in interviews she's talked about it too. But so I don't. That could be, maybe she is projecting. Maybe she does project, and she is not the prettiest person off camera, but that could be out of just pure frustration that she knows that she's not allowed to do it in the public eye.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, think about how frustrated we are just by virtue of the fact that we can't do certain things just because we're girls, you know?
But that, just because we understand it doesn't make it okay.
Sure. Sure.
You know,
And who's going to tell her that she's wrong, though?
I think that's what people are trying to do. I think that's what people are doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think there's talks of replacing her.
Really?
Or I think it's something like not letting her have that time slot. I think they're going to get rid of that time slot. That's usually how it begins.
I want to hear what Twitch has to say.
You're probably not allowed to say anything.
Yeah, probably.
There is there's this like sketch that I've never written, but I've always had it in my head as
Uh,
like this golden nugget. Um, I feel like she is part of that the very wholesome brand. I think she caught on after a certain point that like kids like really do a lot for ratings if they're cute enough.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
And
yeah.
so, we look at, I think the most iconic or one of the first iconic duo is that Sophia Grace and Rosie with their tutus and Sophia
Oh
Grace
yeah.
and Nicki Minaj and oh my god,
Yes.
so big. She did so much for those little girls, and then after that, it's a little kid that can recognize any country without the name being on the flashcard, and the little girl that knows all the presidents and is going to be president herself one day. And
And
um,
all the scores of dancers, the little kid dancers.
yes, and if they get enough laughs, Ellen says, "Well, you can come back anytime," and she'll bring them back a couple times, and then they kind of grow up, right?
Yeah.
They start being awkward and probably don't move the same way, or at 12 years old, it's not as impressive, to know all the countries.
Right, 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 right.
So I I I thought about maybe like what if there was like this home, like a home for Ellen's retired children.
That would be great. uh,
And they're like just like starved for like that extra 5 minutes, like just invite me back. Or and so like you walk in and like this you get some kids are in the corner just like again like quizzing each other on flashcards and sharp, but like they're like 16 and teachers
Oh,
are cracking.
that would be hilarious. That would be good. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope that they don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the outcome of this. I don't want to lose, the good that Ellen has put out into the world because she has put good out there and made people feel happy and you know, and I hate that it's coming to the situation where there's now the vitriol is overcoming the happy because right now we need more of the happy. Right now things are not fun, and if ever we needed to turn on the TV and see something fun, it's now.
When I was in Spain, I mean, I went through just deep and painful homesickness.
Yeah.
And when I wasn't talking to my grandma, I was watching all of the uploaded Ellen clips from the day's prior show.
Right.
So
Right.
I had seen all the clips after a certain point and I couldn't rewatch anymore. I had to wait for new ones to be uploaded, and it was always a bummer when there wasn't a show that aired because I couldn't see it. And I just like the day felt extra long to me. And, so if there's just like, I feel like there's just a lot that plays in. I feel defensive as a woman, but as someone who is like also for like, you know, justice, it's like I like there's a lot that we can't ignore.
Sure.
And
Sure. And and I just to go back to the Facebook post that I made. I mean, I made the statement that unless I actually see something more concrete where, somebody is stepping forward as a, not just a rumor, but, Joe Schmo has stepped up and said this thing happened and Ellen did it. I'm not going to hold Ellen responsible for the rumors because rumors, are just rumors. And the response that I got back was that I'm like the people that refused to believe that Harvey Weinstein had raped them.
yeah, that was a very extreme comparison. I'm sorry that they said that. It was hard for when I didn't see the post until I think days after, so it would have not made sense for me to like go in and be like, "You need to take several seats, sir." Because it's like I don't talk to you that much, but like I don't need to log in and see you going in on my mom. Like a completely inappropriate. Go take your hostilities somewhere else.
Right.
Like like go take your chip on your shoulder and take it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that was just most immature and yeah, your words were completely misconstrued and completely torn apart and just taken different directions. That was all completely unfair. But um, I think that's an offensive comparison.
But we fall down now on two different sides of things because of the Me Too movement. And I remember thinking this towards the tail end of all of that, where somebody would come out and say, this person did this or said this or blah blah blah, and then we're like, well, it's the cancel, um, whatever it is, the cancel culture, where we're just like, well, fuck him, he's out, he's done, get him out of there. And I think that's how we lost a really good congressman, in what's his name, from Minnesota, because somebody took a picture of him doing something that whether the person was awake or asleep would not have mattered. The person was asleep, and he made like a thing where he was grabbing her boobs, but he wasn't grabbing her boobs. He was just like, like it was just a picture, and
I would agree that he should lose his job over that.
really,
Yes, I would.
because she would not. I mean, it was
I would feel violated if I was the person in that picture.
okay. You would feel violated, but she would not have, and that was the kind of relationship that they had. Are we not allowed to have those relationships anymore?
Who was it in the picture?
It was a friend of his.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a little different when they're not. Did she come out and speak? What did she say about it?
She said it was no big deal. She said it was no big deal, and I think it was Kristen Gillibrand that said it doesn't matter if it's no big deal. We can't have he's supposed to be an exemplar and blah blah blah, and he needs to go.
I think that if it happened, especially at the height of the Me Too movement, I think they had no choice because I think the nature of the movement was that it had to be aggressive. It needed to be. But I think from that has stemmed like this a more toxic culture of canceling things really abruptly. I mean, I don't remember the story about that congressman, but I think if that's when it happened, it makes sense, and I would have made that call too if I had any say on whether or not he kept his job.
Let me see if I can
Because
find out. Go ahead.
yeah, because I mean, it's it's just sending the wrong message. It's setting the wrong standard, I think, for him versus what we were trying to accomplish with everyone else's cases. Or
It was Al Franken.
okay,
Yeah, Al Franken. Um, and I think there's some debate that could be had about it. Certainly.
yeah. I mean, if someone, I don't understand like having to like dig. You know what I mean? Like if someone went digging for that, because like why would it have gotten posted to begin with?
Yeah,
I
because
mean
it's
that.
something that had happened before, way before he was ever a congressman. It happened when he was on like a USO tour. On a USO tour, and and so somebody did have to dig for that.
Yeah,
Um, and so I don't really necessarily agree that it was something that he should have had to actually be kicked out for. It was something that was, an apology, certainly. But it was not anything that I think that he needed to be kicked out for.
and I think that's also one of the key pieces about the Me Too movement. It's like I don't care about the apologies. I don't need that because now you got caught. And I'm not saying that that's how we felt about him, but like that's the movement, right? Like
Right.
it's all of the men were saying sorry. We were posting, and it all felt very performative. And so I think that's why it just needed to be just really binary. Nope.
Really.
And then that's what I carried away from that movement. And I think that's what it needed to be, like I said. But I don't, I'm not saying that it didn't eventually get toxic. and that it hasn't evolved into other toxic ways of, dismissing people, canceling people, and
Right.
things like that. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, and the reason I even bring it up is because when that person commented, I took offense not just as, like that was freaking inappropriate, but as somebody who can validly say me too on,
Right.
because there's several instances
Right.
can say me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
And to have this person who knows nothing of my history accuse me of that.
Well, right. I think that maybe they thought that they were being an ally by saying something like that, but they were being the complete opposite. Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that was a very harmful thing that he said.
Thank you. Anyway, well, it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. I'm not really interested in seeing her canceled. Interested in seeing her handle her business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'd really like to see that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in the meantime, we've got other things that are going on. I started school this week as a teacher. I didn't start with classes. I started with my professional development and training and all that kind of stuff. I had a 2-day conference where we learned best practices for online learning and online teaching and so forth. All the myriad of technology that's out there that we can be utilizing to best reach our students. And I can tell you, I mean, it's going to be difficult. My class last year was 26 students, which at a charter was very large,
Yeah.
but only probably 65% of the students engaged regularly in my classes.
Did you have any cases where they just disappeared?
Oh yeah, yes, I had several. I had several of them that went to Mexico.
Yeah.
They're like, school's out, I'm gone. But yeah, so only about 65. And my class, my 65% was actually one of the higher percentages in my school.
Wow.
Yeah, so now, because in the spring it was not mandatory, it was not compulsory, but it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to take attendance throughout the day, every day, and students that miss any part of their classes are marked absent for that day. And if they're absent 3 days in a row, then it's the same thing. They get, calls from the school, and then, truant officers and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's very punitive, huh? Do
Well, I
you
mean,
think
that's state required. That's state mandated. So, I'm sorry.
so? Even so, doesn't that feel punitive to you?
Well, sure it does. And by the same token, their school is being paid for, their education is being paid for by the state, and the state has to ensure that they're there.
It's hard because, and that's not like, of course you gotta attend school, but if these kids that are home and might have really shitty home lives,
Yes.
I was at a, I was at I was I was at a presentation where two of my students, or one of my student support leaders and one of our SI leaders, they were presenting on our resources, and this student was there. I mean, I think, and it was a requirement for them to go, but also I think they felt like they needed to go because our incoming freshmen are panicking, not knowing if
Yeah.
they're going to be successful in their first year of college because they're not going to be on campus, they're not going to have the hands-on, face-to-face, walk into an office and speak to someone experienced that I
Right.
had that I feel was imperative to my success. And a lot of students feel, I know they feel the same way. And this, and her picture, she had her profile picture. She didn't have her camera on, but she had her picture up. And she just looked like this tiny little thing, and just smiling in front of a fountain, had a cute hat on and everything. And it sounded like an abusive parent walked in and she didn't have her mic off and just starts yelling at her,
Yeah.
yelling at her. And I could hear she started crying, and she's like, I'm in a meeting for school. And then she muted it, and we didn't. And I hope I hope they checked up on her. But I just,
And we have both of our campuses, because we have the high school and the K-8 campus, have counseling and success counselors and BPs and all that handle that type of thing, so that if when and the thing is the 3 days missing school without any call in or anything like that, that's the same whether if we were going to school, if we were going to campus and a student didn't show up for 3 days, they would be getting the same treatment, right?
right,
So I mean, it's not just because it's online, but that's a requirement of the state. Um, what is not a requirement is that we have counselors that call, that we already know for the most part who our high risk students are, and so we have backup plans to say, hey, look, we know this student is having difficulty coping with whether it's a parent issue or a student issue or whatever. If there is difficulty coping, why don't we bring the student in and work with one of our counselors on campus for a little bit. um, and I think that hopefully it's just that we can't have more than right now we can't have any students on campus, none. Hopefully our situation will change. I mean, right now Fresno is and the Central Valley as a whole are. I mean, the president mentions us when he's doing his conferences, and the governor mentions Fresno by name when he's doing his conferences because it's so bad right now here. So until it reaches a certain level, um, where we can actually get a few students on campus, and we can have once school starts, we're hoping that we can have at least our IEP and 504 students come in for their required hours rather than having to do them online. Um, and at that point, then we can bring some of our higher risk students onto campus one at a time or whatever, and spend some time with them at that point. But I mean, our hands are kind of tied as far as that is concerned. I mean, we can call, we can talk to people, but we can't. It's the school. The state is telling us if we bring students on campus right now, we're in trouble. As opposed to other states. I mean, Georgia um, actually started in school. And did you see those pictures of the hallways, the crowded hallways with all the students? Unsurprisingly, 9 students came up positive this week.
well, and the fact that they're so mad that a student posted that and suspended her.
Yeah, I don't know. Were there faces? Because it looked to me, if you can see faces, then that's a liability issue, and I get that. Um,
I think she took the picture of it was everyone was facing the opposite way.
that's what it seemed like to me. I haven't taken a second look at that picture, but yeah, no, that should not have happened. If I were the parents of that student, I would be raising holy hell.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But then again,
I'm glad that they're not trying it over here. I mean, I don't even think it was a conversation. I know that there were a lot of schools that were thinking about it at first, and they were going to do a hybrid thing, and now they're like they're kind of stepping back and reassessing. But I think it was always going to be for us like you're
yeah.
home.
And see, with Clovis, where Eleanor goes, she they were going to actually give the students the opportunity to stay home or go to school, but the incentive to go to class was that if you stayed home, you couldn't take your chosen classes. So if you were an AP student, or like Eleanor she's taking honors chemistry, she would not have the opportunity to take that honors class, and she would not have the opportunity to take any AP classes. She would have to go on what's called the Edgenuity program, which is just strictly you know straight across the class for that grade level, no AP or honors or anything.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
That's the most inequitable thing I've heard.
yeah. It's awful. And so she was like, I don't want to go to class, but I don't want to not take these classes. You
Yeah,
know?
that's that.
Yeah.
That's
So
terrible.
and that was the case until the day before the governor said no.
Good.
Yeah. And so now no classes. Nobody's on campus, of course. But you have your choice of doing the Edgenuity online or doing the what they call the Zoom in the classroom. So where the teacher is in the classroom teaching, the students are all on Zoom.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea.
I
For some classes, I can see, like a science class or whatever, I can see that.
yes, and that's why we're setting up. I know that our IT department is working really hard in acquiring the technology and their certificates. And Boo Bear's home.
Hi, Boo Bear.
I'm on the call, babe. I'm on a call.
He can sit in. Have him come say hi.
I'll let him in. Fine. You don't have the house.
Okay.
I should have played some elevator music for you guys. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm on Screencastify. I can edit it out.
Okay.
Hey, I like the surfboard cover back there. That's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, right. It's by a company called Sagebrush.
Nice. Are they partnering with him?
No, no.
Just a local.
It's just a local.
Female-owned business.
Yeah,
Nice.
that so he and our neighbor Jeff. Jeff is his mentor in all things surfing and shaping. They both get their bags.
Nice. That's nice. That's good.
Yeah, so IT on my campus, I know that but it's very expensive and it requires a lot of setup, I think, to have like these Zoom rooms, like a meeting room or something.
Yeah.
And teachers are going to be doing that, but it's like if they don't have enough for every teacher. Like that's just a lot, I think, a lot.
Well, and unfortunately, like our school does have, they did put the premium Zoom for all the teachers. I actually signed up and I'm paying for the premium on my own. I felt like I needed to because I'm using it for other purposes besides school, and I'm just wacko like that. So I mean, but it's only $15 a month. But with that, you can do all kinds of really cool things. But like, if I'd had my same class this year as I was having last year with 26 students, and all of them were coming, I would feel the need to do the breakout rooms and all that kind of thing. That is really it makes it so much easier because it's trying to maintain 26 sixth graders, where they're not, just acting like monkeys is just it's hard. It's really really hard.
Yeah. You disable the chat feature so they're not like secretly messaging each other booties and booties and
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yes, I did. I had to because it was funny. I didn't even realize that they were using it until um like all of a sudden they would all start laughing at one time. Like, okay. All right.
well, if you're recording your classes, you can pull that information, I think.
Yeah, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's a premium feature too as well. So
yeah, I guess I automatically get a premium feature as an employee.
yeah, probably.
I think I do, yeah, because there's the whiteboard feature and all that stuff. You could do group assignments with the different breakout rooms.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I just found out at this conference that we did that I could do like the Zoom polls, so we can ask questions and all that kind of stuff, and that's really cool. All the different things. This background, this is a requirement by my district that I either have to have my background actually be a wall that is, looks classroomy, or I have to have the digital background. And without my digital background, this is what you see. Hold on. Oops. That's not what you see. You see my bed.
Your bed.
Yeah.
That's really you, and you make your bed every time.
For more or less, yeah. I mean, I kind of just threw it together today, but yeah.
all my backgrounds are on my desktop. Like, although I've collected quite a collection by now,
I
but
want to know how you did that video. That was so funny. That was really good.
not everyone too. Everyone was like, huh?
Show me. I want to see it again.
Gosh. Well, it's on my desktop, so I'll
Okay.
do it next time.
Okay.
I'll have, but I've also repositioned so I'll probably have to make a new one or something. But I remember my supervisor. I did it at a team meeting, and my supervisor was in the middle of talking, and she, "Oh, is that your sister?" I'm like, "That's my sister." Come say hi, and I just start dancing in the background.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious. So yeah, I felt like I needed to find something that was me.
That is very you.
I thought so.
Like that would be your backyard to your little cottage.
Yeah, exactly. Where I'm growing herbs and hanging up my tie-dyed t-shirts.
Yeah, you might be in between churning the butter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's almost canning season, you know.
Yeah, naturally.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many other subjects we can beat to like a dead horse.
Where are we at?
I don't know. We were we left off with the schools.
No, I mean, right, we did, and then Ellen, and then schools, and cows.
Cows. To cows.
To cows. I actually want because they're known as like grass puppers on the internet.
Grasshoppers.
Because they're like so affectionate if you treat them like the affectionate beings they are.
Yeah, they'll like lay down with their head in your lap, and
yes,
they're so sweet.
On you, yeah. That's all I want is a dog and a cow.
Yeah, I want a baby goat really, really bad.
Oh yeah, a goat would be so cool.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just a little one, an itty bitty one.
Mm-hmm.
We had for a little bit.
That's the noise they make.
For a little bit we had little baby frogs outside on our patio, and we would just love them because they would come out at night and you could hear them. They sound like little baby kittens, and we'd step outside and watch the little frogs just jumping around. They're so adorable. They're only like this big.
There are a lot around there. I tried catching one summer night, and I picked it up, and it started screaming, and I felt so awful. I let it go right away.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a whole bunch at the apartments that I lived in, yeah.
I don't remember them being there.
Really?
On Minnewawa?
Yep. And I think it was because I watered all the time because I had that garden.
I remember that garden.
It was a good garden. I miss that garden.
Yeah, it was a good garden. We have this yard in the front that we're able to make into make it into whatever we want because it's just full of weeds right now, and so we don't know where to start, so we haven't.
Well, first you start by taking out the weeds.
Yeah, that's what Chris keeps saying. Weed killers.
No, because you ruin your soil.
Well, we're gonna have to turn the soil anyway and get new soil. It's like
there is no soil.
Okay, there is no. It's just dirt.
It's just dead earth.
Oh.
Dead, dry earth.
Yeah.
So what you need then? You need to get a compost pile going, a little teeny compost pile over the winter, and start putting your food stuff in there and mixing it in with fall cuttings and fall leaves and stuff. So
that's what our plan is. We were talking about that with our neighbors. So our next door neighbors, Renee and Jose, we are going to be doing that together.
Oh, good.
And yeah, so we could they're easy to make. I remember I even taught a class on how to make your own compost star. You just get some of those big where you would store your Christmas decorations, those bins. Get all of those and drill some holes at the bottom. You
Yeah.
can elevate them on cinder blocks.
Yep.
And you got to order the worms. And then, so we could just start putting like our eggshells, our like, leftover food, coffee grinds, and then like, earth.
Yeah. No meat. Don't put meat in it.
No.
Yeah, just like veggies and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then we'll have just like a bunch of really great fertilizers.
So that's it for us today. If you like us, go ahead and hit like, and if you like us a lot, then hit subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Okay, cut.